Hello all! Penelope Pendragon, the Wishing Fairy here, also known as Valerie Poteete with the Center for Spiritual Living of Greater Las Vegas. Honestly, my name depends on where you met me. For those of you who have enjoyed the last two talks and all the rhyming, in this talk, I will rhyme, but hardly at all. This week's talk for the month of April, with a focus on love, is love in community. For me, the self-love talk on April 5th was an exercise in self-examination. It was eye-opening. It was soul-lifting, heart-healing for me. It helped me examine where I was falling short on my own self-love disciplines. The April 12th talk about love in relationships also caused me to deep dive into a topic that I hadn't really examined in quite a while. When I began to ponder about love and community, it got me thinking about what a community really is and how community works in my life. Because if I'm to talk about love and community, I would like an example of how that works in my life and how myself and others can lift others' vibrational energy in a community. At first glance, I thought most would classify their town or their city as a community. But I don't have a standard, stable, solid home. My home has wheels, so I don't really have a community like that. I just roll from town to town. I load in, I do my job, I load out, and I go on to the next festival. And I do it again. I feel more like a lone wolf than part of a community. I thought perhaps I could consider Las Vegas, Henderson, or even Green Valley as my community because I grew up there and I have family and friends there. But I don't really get involved in the community per se. I don't get involved in the politics or even the play, unless I'm performing, in which case I'm a performer, not a community member. That could be any town USA in my world, so it's not really a community. Houses and apartment complexes often use the word community in their name, or at least their sales pitch, but I've met many people who don't know any of their neighbors. According to Merriam-Webster, the definition of community is a unified body of individuals such as A, the people with common interests living in a particular area, broadly meaning the area itself. B, a group of people with a common characteristic or interest living together within a larger society, like a community of retired persons. C, a body of persons in common, and especially professional interests, scattered through a larger society, like the scientific community. D, a body of persons or nations having a common history or common social, economic, and political interests, like the international community. E, a group linked by a common policy. And F, an interacting population of various kinds of individuals, such as species, in a common location. So, the human species here on the common location we call Earth could be considered a community. What I noticed in this research was a whole lot of usage of the word common in the definition of community. And since I have this desire to play with words and find the most playful, meaning-filled meaning, I decided the word community basically means a common unity. When we have people, places, thoughts, and/or things in common, we form this unity with each other over that common factor. This makes the most sense to me. While prepping this talk about love and community, I realized that I don't necessarily have a community. But when you look at the community as having a common unity, it turns out I have many communities that I take part in, even if I'm not an integral part of any one in particular. And each of these communities has its way of loving and lifting me. CSLGLV is my spiritual community. Even then, I only pop my head in every once in a while. To be truthful, it's more my mom's community. She is one of the pillars of that community. She's taken all the classes. She's even facilitated some of the classes. She's been in every service station and even ran the bookstore for several years. She tried to join the choir way back when, but my point being is that although I'm not a pillar in the CSLGLV community, I'm still a part of it. And when I pop in like the little firecracker I am, they embrace me like I belong. And they lift my vibrational energy, whether they're trying to or not. Even when I visit centers for spiritual living in other cities and states, I'm welcomed in with open arms. So if I need spiritual lifting, that's exactly where I'll be. Now, to be fair, it's a spiritual community, so they do their best to love and lift everyone because their goal is for a world that works for everyone. And it's a community focused on love, because love is all there is. Regardless, I always feel welcomed like I'm at home when I attend services at the Greater Las Vegas Center, or any other one for that matter. So I can definitely consider that to be one of my communities. And I bask in the love, the lifting of vibrational energy that it offers. RV parks have a real community feeling as well. It's rare for me to park at an RV park because I'm typically en route or staying on the grounds of whatever festival I'm participating in. But when I do, I usually meet several of my neighbors, and I strike up fun conversations with them. Although I often don't have much of a common bond with all the vacationers, aside from knowing how to back up an RV into a parking spot, I'm accepted as the RVing community simply because I have an RV. Several years ago, I had a problem with my slide out. It wasn't sliding back in. It was my first tour season with this RV, so I wasn't aware on how to fix the situation. Luckily, there was an RV park on my route, so I pulled in, hoping to find someone with the answer that I needed. Sure enough, it only took a short while before I had a slew of fellow RVers who were all putting in their 2 cents on how to get the slide out to slide back in. These people didn't know me at all. I wasn't even staying at the park. Yet, because I had an RV, we had a common unity. And they helped me, as if I was one of their own. I also have a common unity with my fellow festival performers. No matter what festival I'm at, there's always a community that have this festival thing in common that brings a feeling of understanding and unity that resonates through that group. And that unity ultimately results in lifting others' vibrational energy. Even if we've never met, or have met and don't remember each other's names, which is even more common. For example, my festival community, definitely an interesting bunch, consists of performers, vendors, guild members, volunteers, even sometimes patrons. Most of them know me because I'm planted in one location, and I'm often on the show schedule or in the program. But because I'm more of an introvert, I don't really socialize past my work hours. I know it's weird to be a performer and an introvert, but somehow it works for me. My point is that even though I don't party after hours or even socialize much during my work hours, I'm still a part of that community because we have this common unity. We all focus much of our lives on bringing this festival environment to life. Way back when, at my first on-the-road festival experience, I was feeling about as alone as I could feel. I was nervous, and I was kind of scared, but wholeheartedly determined to make this crazy wish wagon idea work. And I had to get to my first show, no matter what. My RV, also known as the dragon that pulls the wagon, was a 1977 Coachman Leprechaun who was not ready to travel yet. But I took the leap of faith anyway, and on my 300-mile journey to the Lucidity Music Festival in Santa Barbara, I overheated coming over every big hill, and I blew a hole the size of a soccer ball in one of my brand new mufflers. I arrived much later than anticipated, so it was dark. It was really dark, and I was exhausted. I got my parking stickers and my space assignment, but I had no clue where I was going. Did I mention it was really dark? As I'm slowly rolling through the darkness on this dirt road lined with campsites and concessions, I'm completely lost. I'm looking for my spot, and the dragon's temperature was rapidly rising. I asked for directions and was told to go up this hill to find the family garden area. The dragon wanted nothing to do with it. He needed a running start for a hill this steep of a grade, and there was no way to ramp up to that. On my second attempt to push up the hill, he overheated and he stalled out. I tried to roll backward down the hill, and I ended up landing the wagon in a ditch. Within a few minutes, a dozen people came out of the darkness to help me. Now, some people knew each other, but others were like, "Hi, I'm whoever," introductions. I frantically explained the situation, and then everyone got to work to get this wish wagon safely into its space. Some held flashlights so we could see. Some secured the tires on both the dragon and the wagon for obvious safety reasons. Another went to go get his truck so he could take the load off the dragon, and he would use his truck to put the dragon into its space. I went from feeling utterly alone and helpless to being embraced and lifted, figuratively and literally, out of a ditch, by what is now one of my favorite communities, even though I have no idea who it was who helped me that night. That experience was such a beautiful taste of the power and love that is available in a community. A community helps one another. They lift one another. At a festival, any festival, if a tent collapses or gets carried away in the wind, others in the community step in to help. Every time. Then we share stories, tips, and tricks from our own flip tent experiences, because we've all been there at some point, and we understand the situation. We have that common unity. And even things like tents collapsing in the winds gives us that opportunity to lift each other's vibrational energy. That's love in community. That's a lifting of others' vibrational energy due to being in a common unity. Think of how on September 11th, 2001, tragedy struck, and this wave of energy vibrated through the United States. We were all suddenly connected. We all had a deep common unity thrust upon us. People were donating money, time, blood, volunteering at helping organizations. They were holding vigils and buying American flags to demonstrate their support. But most importantly, they were reassessing their love for each other and the country. As we were all realizing how fragile yet strong we humans really are. In this emergency, we band together and did what we could to help lift each other through this tragedy, each in our own individual ways. Because in a community, everyone has a role to play. Think about it for a minute. In your community, what role do you play? Are you an entrepreneur who provides a service for the neighboring communities? A patron helping to lift the financial energies in the community? Are you a teacher, a preacher, a server, an observer, a speaker, a seeker, a lifter, or a gifter? What role do you play in the swing of things? Actually, swinging is a really good analogy for love, particularly in community, because as community members, we're the legs that keep that swing swinging. We're the ones who get that momentum by moving, taking action, lifting our vibrational energy, which allows us to lift others' vibrational energy. At the same time, it's energy and it vibrates through us all because we are all living on vibrational energy. We are all love. We all have that in common. Now all we need is the unity. In summary, to me, love and community isn't necessarily about your location or your interests. Love and community means an uplifting of energy for those who are around you, those who you share a common unity with, even if it's just because you're also human. What I'd like you to ponder is, what or who would you consider your direct community or communities? How do those who share your common unity lift your vibrational energy? And what part do you take in helping spread that love, that lifting through your particular community? That's things to think about. Thank you for joining me for this examination about love and community. It really lifted my vibrational energy as I realized that I'm not a lone wolf. I'm part of several packs, several communities that love me and lift me as I do them. And I hope this talk brought some common unity between us two.